Conversation framework for modern agents is what we're going to be going over today. Before we get into all that stuff, though, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, depending on which platform you're on. And I'm going to go ahead and break down the longer version of the short social media video that I made recently on how to have a conversation with people that go somewhere. And there's three elements to that thing. And the first one is having a really solid opener with everything that's warm, that's welcome, exciting. It's not overly enthusiastic. It's not overly scary. It's actually pretty low and slow. And I'm going to go ahead and go jump into my updated version of LP Mama, which is what I use to help kind of keep me on track and remind me of these things. These are the things that I use day in, day out in my business that helps me sell 50 to 60 houses a year for the last 4 years consistently. Kind of found my micro niche of where I want to be with relocation buyers, repeat homeowners. But all of it is based on this conversation framework that I use, whether you're dealing with an online lead, SOI, no matter who it is that you're talking to. This is a framework that I've found has worked really well as far as to open up the conversation, open up the client, and really have a worthwhile, productive conversation that doesn't feel salesy, doesn't feel scripted, doesn't feel like you're trying to just push an agenda. It's a lot of questions. And really, you can ask the right questions and let them do 80% of the talking. You do about 20%. But asking the right, pointed, quick, concise questions is really the way to do this. And I think one of the hardest things for most people to get over when it comes to these things is that, in these presentations, these videos, coaches, speakers that you're following, they do a lot of talking at you when they're presenting this information. And so it might lead you to think you're supposed to talk a lot too, but the truth is it's the exact opposite. You're supposed to ask a lot of questions and let the client, let this prospect guide themselves into a decision, yes or no, on everything. And so shifting your mindset from, I got to get these people to do something, and shifting it to more of like asking questions that's open, that's calm, that's welcome, to help them decide yes or no, for them to make a decisions to buy or not buy, to sell or not sell, is really the end goal of what we're trying to help them to accomplish here. So this is the framework I use. It's an updated version of LP Mama. So this is kind of the first part of the conversation is the opener, whether you're at an open house, at a family function, and you're talking to somebody about real estate and they bring it up, or you're dealing with an online lead, no matter what source, when or where you talk to people, this is the conversation to help kind of keep it in a container so that you cover the things you're supposed to cover. Now, don't think of this like a script where it's like, I got to say this word for word, and I got to do this word for word. This is more of just the things you need to cover. And the thing is with this, once you cover these, you're going to keep coming back to these, because it's not like you do these once and you're done and you go, oh, I got to figure it out. Because people change their minds, their situation changes, their preferences change, your timelines change. And so you want to constantly be keeping tabs on these key things that you really should be covering in a real estate conversation and coming back to. And this is what helps you to follow up, is coming back to this personal information that you've gathered from these people about their situation and how it relates to real estate. So let's go ahead and get into it. So as far as the opener, the first thing you want to do is, like, let's say this is an online lead, which is the majority of what we work, because it seems to be the most professional way to grow a business is through a database and advertising, than trying to just hustle all your friends and family and be that annoying, spammy realtor that's basically begging everyone for business all the time. So you'd be like, hi, is Bob there? And be like, yeah, who's this? Immediately, he's going to be skeptical. He's going to have his guard up because he's like, who is this and who knows my name? It's usually when somebody answers the phone, like, that's the two things I want to know. Who is this? What do you want? And so you're like, hi, this is Ben, and I'm curious if you're looking at Wichita homes on our website for fun, or if you're looking into making a move. So you kind of announce your name, who you are, where you're from, and then what you want. And you kind of use the objection that a lot of them use, which is, oh, I'm just looking, because most of them will say that right away. Oh yeah, I'm just looking. I'm just browsing. I'm just kind of starting out. Oh, I was just curious. Like, that makes sense. Validate them. That makes sense. Most people start on our site that way. I'm curious what has you looking into that, into getting a new place. And what you'll notice about both of these two questions, they're short and they're punchy. They're not super long. They're not super salesy. They're not super sophisticated. They're quick. They're open to their point, and they're a question to encourage dialogue, to open them up, for them to talk, for them to really get going through everything. And this is where you really got to watch your tone, that you're not overly excited when you're calling, like, Hi, is Bob there? Because if you called that way, like you're way too like upbeat that now you just triggered this person's sales resistance into being like, why is this person so excited? Why are they trying to like one up me on energy? Like the more calm and neutral and just stable you are, like you don't want to be dead, low energy and just blah, but you need to be stable, concise, like present, showing up for them and just be chill about this thing. So that's really what opens conversations up, whether in person, over the phone, no matter where it is you're having these conversations, like how you show up and how you put yourself out there is typically how your client or your prospect is going to respond to you on everything. And so that is a whole nother video I'll have to make about emotional management and inner stability and things that go with that go into this conversation framework. But it starts with, hi, is Bob there? Yeah, this is Bob. Like, hey, Bob, this is Alicia. And I'm curious if you're looking at which the homes on our website for fun, or if you're looking into making a move. And you can hear how quick and conversational and easy that is to process, easy to digest. And so that the easier you make it for them to hear what you're talking about, answer the question, and have a worthwhile conversation does two things. Like it allows them to participate and it gets a conversation going with them to help them realize like, man, this is just conversational. This guy's just friendly. He's trying to help me out. He knows what he's doing. He kind of just wants to have a conversation so they feel comfortable and actually open it up and telling you what they want and need so that you can give them what they want and need. And it also kind of filters out the people that are just jerks and rude and hard to work with. Because if we can't even have a conversation from the start, we're probably not going to be a super good fit with each other. Because I know I'm good at having conversations, but if you're just resistant or difficult, can't communicate, like we're not going to get along too well. Nothing about you personally. It's just we're probably not going to match real well if we can't even communicate with each other, can't even have a conversation. And I get it that initially you might be a little bit guarded, a little bit skeptical, a little bit like closed off, but eventually like you should give in and have a conversation with me and realize like I'm the good guy. I'm here to help you. I'm here to work with you. I'm not here to screw you over, because usually the biggest thing that most clients and prospects are scared of is us as salespeople, as agents, trying to push them into something they don't want to do, force them to do something they don't want to do, instead of having more of a service mindset approach to this industry and this conversation. So as it goes on and they say, that makes sense. Most people start out on our site that way. And I'm curious, what has you looking? Like, oh, well, I was thinking about downsizing. I was thinking to have a better, bigger place. And, they really start to go into like their details of it all. And this is where I'd go 2 to 3 questions deep on that what has you looking question. Because usually what I want to cut straight into right away that I don't know, that they don't know, that they can't see online is like, what has you looking at houses in the first place? And I'm curious, and you got to really say it like that with a curious tone. And you can see my face and my tone go to, I'm curious, what has you looking in the first place? And you can hear how genuine that concern is, how genuine that curiosity is, how genuine like that whole vibe of the thing is. And people pick up on your vibe and your tone more than they do anything else. So the way you say these questions also matters probably more than the words that you say. So your tone and the questions you ask for this opener is going to make all the difference of whether these people choose to engage in this conversation with you or not. And that's what I've seen over this past years of calling a lot of leads and dealing with a lot of people, is the way you start the conversation is how the relationship's going to go and how well you're going to be able to work with that client moving forward with everything. And the more you're able to demonstrate and show them your ability to do hard things, like approach a stranger, initiate a conversation, lead the way, like the more they're going to buy into you as an agent, as a person, providing them an experience, providing them a service that leads to a result that they like and makes them feel good about it. So those 2 questions is like the best way to start. You could also apply this to somebody who, let's say they randomly see you at a family event and is like, how's the market? Number 1 question we get as agents, how's the market? What I would initially start off by saying, be like, I appreciate you asking that and thinking of me as an agent for that. I'm curious, what has you asking that question though? Are you looking to buy? Are you looking to sell? Like, what is it that has you asking that question? Because this is what I learned recently. It was like, it's really hard to give specific advice for a general question. So a general question like, how's the market, can really only have me give you a general answer, when usually what people are wanting is more specific advice for a specific situation. So is there something specifically you're referring to about what you want to know about the market? And so I would get a little bit more specific and more detailed on their motivation and what has them asking and what they really want to know. Because I think most people just keep things at surface level and we don't go deeper into the details of what they're asking and what they mean by that. And I'm not saying you got to get super emotional, super lovey-dovey, all that stuff. I'm just saying you need to be thorough is really what it comes down to. Because typically a lot of agents and a lot of people miss the details, miss the smaller nuances to pick up on because they don't go deep enough and thorough enough and long enough into these things that kind of just skip right over from one thing to the next thing. They're like, let me get through this framework as fast as possible. Let me get them to a closing as fast as possible. Or if you'd slow down a little bit, have a thorough conversation with people, not necessarily saying you got to get super deep in your feelings and their feelings, just have a thorough conversation is really what we're looking for here. So how's the market? Well, I'm curious what has you asking about the market, which piece of the market would you like to know about? Or if you're just looking for general overall advice and you just kind of want to know for fun. Same way with people are looking at your house, that house is online just for fun. You know, it's some of these people just enjoy talking and looking at real estate. And that's okay. You just got to let them do what they want to do. To relate and empathize. And then one of the first things I would offer to them is to ask them for the appointment. Now, this is a key thing to ask them. Don't force it, don't push it, don't close it, but at least just offer that piece out there. Would it be helpful to get together to go over the process of buying a home? Sounds like this might be your first time. You know, and before that, you can get into sounds like XYZ is why you're looking. So you really want to have that thorough conversation. Listen to them, get to know them before you ever try to pitch and propose and move them forward on everything. That motivation piece, like you could spend a solid 3 to 5 minutes on this and then ask for the appointment. You don't even have to go into everything else. And I've seen that work really well because you connected with them on a human level. You listen to them first so you can understand them first. And that's very rare for salespeople and honestly for humans, period, to be concerned about what someone else is thinking, what someone else wants, what someone else needs. And that's an experience that they don't get, not only with salespeople, but just with anybody else in their life on everything. So that's the motivation piece that it starts out with. Sounds like XYZ is why you're looking. Then offer the appointment and ask them, would it be helpful to get together, go over the process of buying a home? Would it be helpful to get together to go over the process of selling a home? Sounds like this is your first time. Would it be helpful to get together and kind of develop a game plan for the strategies of everything you're trying to pull off? You know, whether that's buying your first house or selling your first house to move into your up one, or that's downsizing from your big house to your smaller house. Like, would it be helpful to actually get together and go over this more in detail? Because it sounds like you got a lot to consider and a lot of things to do. Would it be helpful? That's a key phrase there. Would it be helpful to XYZ is a good one to put in there. And be like, you know, just so I'm on the same page with you, I'm curious if you have a timeline in mind for getting this done by that I need to be made aware of. Schedule all that. Location, is there a certain area or school district you want to stay around or need to be in? And why is that location important? And then how about price point or monthly payment you want to stay around? Any of that important? Is that price or monthly payment from a lender or something you came up with yourself? This is where you want to plug your lender, talk insight and finances, and then get back to the appointment. I really think it makes sense for us to get together the game plan for your situation. When is typically a good time for you that works best to do that? And then look at your schedule, plug yourself in. But this is an idea of the conversation framework that you can have initially to start a conversation, have a good like body context of gathering a lot of personal information, and then end it with the conclusion, which is usually what people want is a meeting with an appointment or next steps on everything. And that's a good conclusion, good ender, and that kind of thing. But this at least gives you a framework to deal with everything so that you can have more worthwhile conversations and things can go better when it comes to talking about real estate. Because there's a lot of noise in our world and a lot of pointless conversations go on that don't really lead to anywhere. And yes, we need to have a certain number of conversations in a day as real estate agents, but we really got to be having better conversations that go somewhere that connect with the person on the other end of the screen or in person and actually provide that human experience that people are still wanting and needing these days. And that's really how you convert leads, is through these solid conversation frameworks. So if you want a copy of this template, I'd be happy to send it to you. Check out some of my other agent training and videos for modern agent options. Appreciate you watching as always, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. See ya.